Well, hello there. Welcome back. If you haven't met me before, my name is Lexi Tommy, and this is my Thrival Guide. Every Thursday, I sit down and I talk to you about how to get your life together. It's a fun little channel on adulting, and it's going to help everything run much smoother in your life. So keep watching today and subscribe below so I can keep coming back every Thursday to help with tips and tricks to keep things running so much easier in your day-to-day. This month is a huge one because I am going through step by step every video for a whole series of how to make your summer freezer bulk meals. And when I say bulk, I mean big time bulk. My biggest round, like I was telling you last week, was 107 meals in a weekend. And each one of those 107 meals are not servings, honey. They're actual meals that serve 4 to 6 people. It's a big freezer round, and I'm gonna show you how to do it all. Bulk mealing my home is a total beast. It has become a complete beast, and I'm gonna introduce you to that beast so that you can implement it in your home too. Here are some legit excuses and things I have heard over the years. My kids are so picky, I don't think this is gonna work for us. Have your kids make the meal plan. Cater the meals to what are going to work for your family. I don't have time for that. That sounds like a ton of work. Honey, you are doing 10 times the amount of work every single day. At least in a weekend, you might be able to recruit some help, like one of your kids or your spouse or your mama or a friend, and get it all done. I don't have room in my freezer. I've seen it before. I know exactly what freezer you have, and you probably have multiples of that freezer. So, best be take everything out of the freezer, chip off that 10-year-old roast beef off the bottom that's been actually enclosed by frost, defrost the whole thing, organize it all, and give it a good, legit start. I love cooking. Well, good for you. No, I'm just joking. This doesn't stop you from cooking. This just gives you the help when you don't have time to cook. It has things prepped for you. It portions things out. It makes things like actually stable in your home so that they don't mold or get old or have to be thrown out. It's a way to conserve your food, but it's also a way to prep yourself when you don't feel like cooking, because Lord knows that's not every day. Our family's so small, there's only 2 of us. That's a reason to cook. Who wants to cook for 2 people? You better bulk meal on that one, because who wants to take the time to cook a huge meal for just 2 people night after night? You're gonna be eating out. If you don't bulk meal, you are going to be eating out, or you're going to be eating peanut butter sandwiches. And if you're even smaller, if you're just a single person in a home, how do you keep produce at all? How do you consume it before it goes bad? I have no idea. It doesn't make sense to me. If our family of 4 with a bunch of fruit addicts in our house cannot get through the fruit, cannot get through the fresh produce before it goes bad, or always just like striving to get there, how are you doing it as a single person? Are you buying 1 apple for the week? Like, what is happening there? Our family's too large for that. I never know who's coming and going. Exactly. It would be impossible to cook. It'd be impossible to cook for. It'd be impossible to plan for without bulk mealing. At least if you have freezer bulk meals, you can grab 2 out of the freezer of the same kind if you have more than 1 person coming. It gives you the ability to pull out as little or as much as you want and be able to feed people on the fly. And if this is your lifestyle, your savings in particular would be incredible if you bulk mealed. We are vegetarian or vegan. I've heard that one too. So primarily we live off of fresh stuff. Freezer mealing wouldn't work for us. There are tons of creative, beautiful vegan freezer meals that you can make and freeze. It makes things so much easier to get creative, because who wants to be creative at the end of a long day? This system helps small families that have trouble cooking for a few, big families that need big, large, involved meals, picky eaters, those who want to save money, those who want to feed their families homemade meals in a healthier way and kind of reduce the garbage in their life, those wanting to eliminate the lunch costs and take leftovers for work the next day, those who don't want to throw their groceries in the garbage from unused leftovers, from poorly planned meals that were too big, or from ingredients that were never used in the first place. Those that are not interested in wasting their precious, precious time with their kids in the evenings to cut and prep and make a meal. And those that are completely overwhelmed with life and need to get some type of fresh start. Bulk meals may be something that you have dabbled in, but I promise you, you've never dealt with a system like this. Today I'm going to walk you through how to plan out your bulk freezer meal plan. So let's get at it. Step 1, decide what kinds of meals you're going to make. This month I'm going to show you what I am planning to make for my summer bulk meals. But your tastes, interests, and preferences, or even restrictions are going to be completely different. So bigger yet, I want to show you how to do it for yourself. So first things first, decide what you want to make, what you would really enjoy. With cooking in bulk, you're going to need to follow a little bit of a different process in order to reduce expenses for those groceries and the cost of each meal. You'll need to pick meals with the following general guidelines. Pick meals you know your family enjoys. Pick no less than 3 meals each. As you know, in your current cooking process, if you're gonna make chili, you might as well make a big pot of it and freeze some. It's the same principle. To make it simple, it's cheaper, and the efforts to just make a little more are less. The same goes with all bulk freezer meal making. And let's say you were picking that chili. You are already purchasing the ground beef and the onions, the peppers and the tomatoes. Take a look at those ingredients. You might as well purchase a little more and make tacos too. And if you purchase just 30% more of those ingredients, you could probably get 3 times the meals out of it. One just leads into the other. And of course, I am a total Pinterest junkie. And one of the best parts about Pinterest is you can see, okay, I'm dealing with ground beef, the bell peppers, the tomatoes, so on and so forth, for the tacos, for the chili. What else can I make with a different flavor that has those ingredients too? You can search those ingredients. It's brilliant. The next step is choose how many you're going to make of each meal. It's really important to balance the number of meals you make of any one kind. And you need to do that to make sure that your family doesn't get sick of it. We're trying to prevent waste. And I've been doing this for 13 years, but I can tell you, I still made this mistake. I made this mistake recently. It was last summer, and I made too many rounds of beef skewers for the barbecue. They were good, but my family was no longer feeling it. And I was like so excited because I was like, yes, we're getting more than what I expected out of the amount I bought. But then I realized my family was no longer excited about eating it. Think about it. It's like chili every Tuesday and Friday for the next few months. Ooh, it gets overwhelming. And as you start paring down the other kinds of meals, that's all you're left with. Well, you can't just eat that. If you are deciding to have more than 3 to 4 of any kind of meal, that means that it's a family favorite, that you love it, and that you're prepared to have it more often. In step 3, you're going to consider flavor, interest, and time of the year. Take into consideration the months that you are actually preparing these meals for. When I first started doing these freezer meals, I only had 6 sturdy meals that I made. I knew they were easy to make, and I got them into the freezer, and that was good enough for then. But those 6 things were things like meatloaves and stews. They were thick, hearty meals and casseroles that you would be interested in like a cold fall or winter day. But in the heat of summer, who wants to sit down for a cup of stew? Your taste can change by season. So to make the most of your bulk freezer meals, you might as well plan for that. I now know what I want to make and how many I want to make of it. How do I know how many different kinds to make? This took me years to balance and figure out, but I'm going to share it all with you so you don't have to. I learned through screwing up time and time again, but every time I tweaked the system, it was growth. I learned more and more, and I found that my savings just kept going up. And in the times when you screw up, you make good friends. Luckily, in the beef skewer screw up of 2020, I had a friend bail me out, and her family loved them. If you're looking at the perspective of your tastes for meals change by the season, you know to only make about 3 to 4 months worth at a time. That should be your max. That's also going to be the max of how long things will freeze really well in the freezer for before they start getting like frostbite. So only plan for about 3 to 4 months at a time. Doing this means that you have tons of meals to choose from that you actually feel like in the season you're in, that you're actually craving for the season you're in. Also keep in mind that you might not use a freezer meal every day. When I'm planning my freezer meals, I plan on the weekly prep day to make about 5. So I pull maybe 5 out of the freezer because you may go out to eat one night, or you might have hot dogs on the barbecue because you felt like it. Maybe you have leftovers to eat, or sometimes you might not feel like supper at all, which happened to us last night. A big lunch equals little interest in supper. It happens. With that being said, 30 meals may not actually equate to a month's worth of meals. It actually might equate to like about 6 weeks or so. It all depends on your family's use. I'm planning to use approximately 4 to 5 meals a week. And sometimes we do not have leftovers for lunch. Maybe we have to make a soup or a sandwich. I will take that every day over having to throw it out. Step 5 is deciding how big to make each meal. Fit the size of the meals to your family. Look through the recipe, pay attention to the serves 4 or serves 6 so you know how to plan. This will give you the perspective of how many the recipe feeds, and you can adjust it according to that. Perhaps your family is a family of 8 and you need to double it. Perhaps your family is a family of 6, but 2 of them are toddlers and babies, so the meal size is actually quite appropriate. Some want to make big enough meals that they have leftovers for the next day for lunch. So take that into consideration as well. For our family, we choose to pay quite close attention to portion size, as we have tons of options of fruits and vegetables and fresh sides to serve along with it. We found for our family, limiting the portion size actually has our family eating way healthier and making up like 60% of our food intake as fruits and vegetables. We find for our family that paying attention to portion size and having that smaller portion size means that we're able to better attain our goal of having more than 60 to 70% of our diet taken up by fruits and vegetables. But it also means we throw less fresh food out. And when I mean less, I mean way less. When I say that we are limiting our portion size, what I actually should be saying is that we are eliminating our throw out size because that's what was getting thrown out. Because anytime I make a bigger meal and I think, like the kids are starting to eat more, maybe I'll make a bigger meal, I throw it out. I end up throwing that portion out. So I'd rather just adjust it with the sides. It's healthier for us. The kids eat better that way. And we enjoy the meal so much more without throwing it out. Regardless of which way you choose, make sure it suits your family and your needs. Step 6 is remembering to take a look at like ingredients. They're really important. When I go through the process of making my meals in episode 4, you're gonna see how they all come together and how some ingredients seem to be in a lot of the different meals. I'm doing that on purpose. It helps me keep the cost down. It changes the flavor, sure, but it helps me keep the cost down, but still have different meals and different flavors in our menu. So you're gonna wanna pick meals with like ingredients, but with different flavors. Meat is the most expensive. That's what you're gonna look at first. If you choose tacos, you might as well choose meatloaf and sloppy joes because you're buying the ground beef anyways, and that is the most expensive part of the meal. Also, take a look at picking meals with less ingredients. If you can get a meal with 4 or 5 ingredients, that's perfect. Now, I'm not always talking about seasonings. If you have a lot of seasonings like I do, that's fine. But if you can find something, or if you're on a budget, or if you don't have a ton of ingredients in your fridge and on your pantry already, then you're gonna wanna choose meals that have maybe 4 or 5 ingredients or 2 or 3 ingredients rather than the ones with 13, 14. It's gonna lower your cost and save you in the long run. Because it just goes to say, a meal that is gonna require 18 ingredients is gonna cost 10 times more than one that it only requires 5. Step 7, you're gonna start getting those ingredients ready. Once you have the meals picked, the numbers picked, and the sizes picked, you are gonna do something that may seem a little strange, but I promise you, you will need to make sure that you have the right ingredients and enough of them to get the recipe right. You are making meals for the future and you're gonna have to eat those meals. So make sure that you're going to make them the proper way so that they taste great. You want this to be a really good experience and enjoy what you're making. So you're gonna wanna go through each recipe of the meals that you're picking and write down every single ingredient. Every single one. I know it seems tedious, but if you pick the recipes with less ingredients, you'll have an easier time. So you're gonna wanna write down things like a tablespoon of sugar, half a teaspoon of cinnamon, etc. Like, I mean everything. Create a grocery list of all of the items by going through each recipe and writing down everything that's needed. Then in step 8, once you have your ingredients list ready to go, you're gonna want to shop your own ingredients first. Remember what I was talking about in the previous video? Shop your own grocery store. You have stuff at home, shop that stuff first. Make sure that you're going through everything that you have to use up that stuff first before you're buying more. Deciding what you have on the list already, highlighting it or crossing it out, and cutting it from the expense means that you're only buying what's actually needed to make the meals. You will save a ton of money and ensure to reduce your overall purchasing and waste. In step number 9, you're gonna wanna plan out a date. I wish it was like an actual date. I just mean like a date to cook. Plan out a date in advance that you can get it all done without distractions. By doing this, you have the opportunity to do a few things because the date is coming up and you can plan for it. So maybe you're gonna reduce the grocery costs for the next couple of weeks leading up to it. Maybe you're going to start squirreling away a little bulk meal nest egg to purchase it with. Or maybe you wanna arrange some help to make them. I have had a ton of fun and a ton of chaos over the years making these meals with my friends. It's some of my best memories with them. Maybe you need to arrange a day or 2 of childcare. I know for some of those chaotic days, that would have been a good thing to do. And if you're doing it with a friend, maybe you just want to do a childcare exchange. Like, I'll take care of your kids one day so you can make meals, and then you take care of my kids the next so that I can. Whatever you need to do to plan to lead up to that day to get it all done. Step 10 is the actual grocery shopping. Because we're planning ahead, you actually have the luxury of looking through flyers and finding the best deals. You're gonna set aside a time to just go and pick up all those groceries anyway. What's the harm in stopping at 1 or 2 stores instead of just 1? Look at flyers if you like and find the best deal. It'll save you more in the long run. I like to get most of my meats, cheeses, and vegetables at Costco regularly. So I already generally know what I'm looking for and what the prices are there. For everything else, I typically order those groceries on my app for my local grocery store. And it's gotten pretty easy for me to know if something's a good deal or not. I also like the app because it allows me to know what the price is and to know if I've met the budget or not, and I can go in and edit it before I actually press send. And just another little note, look for frozen vegetables whenever possible. To gather the vegetables for the meals, you're gonna freeze them anyway, and it's generally a better price. Finally, step 11, the cherry on top. Print, print, print. Print off your grocery list to highlight when you're shopping your own groceries first and to highlight when you have them in the cart. It's gonna make your shopping trip faster, less confusing, and so much more effective. Then print off a list of freezer meals. This one is one of my best little notes about bulk mealing. Print off your freezer meal list of all the meals that you're making, including little boxes that has the quantity. So if I'm making 4 chilies, I have 4 boxes beside chili. I can check them off as I go, and then I always know what's in the freezer. I don't have to rummage around through it. I can grab the note off the fridge. I can make my meal plan for the week in like 2 seconds. It's a total must do. And that's it for today. I'm going to continue to give you tips and tricks to save you money and time and sanity along the way. But I'm telling you, this is an amazing project to take on. You should totally do this. You will love having the meals and the time, and you're going to wonder how on earth you lived without it. And if this video helped you, let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe so I can keep coming back week after week with excellent material for you. I want to say thank you for popping by and learning to invest in yourself and your life. Welcome, Thrivers, to my Thrival Tribe. We'll see you soon.